Hello, I'm Alice and I'm Research and Documentation Assistant for Archaeology at Hull and East Riding Museum. And today we're having a look at our medieval buildings, focusing on the George Yard timbers. Now, the entrance to George Yard would have stood almost opposite where Wilberforce House is. It was on the High Street in the old town of Hull. Now, when you look at the timbers, they would have been either side of an entranceway to a kind of narrow passageway, ginnel type street, and all around those two timbers, it would have been filled out with a kind of building around it. Now, if you take a little bit of a closer look at the timbers, you can see they're very intricately carved. One of the posts has an image of a lion taking down a dragon. And on the other side of that post is some foliage. And then on the other post, there's an image of a falcon and it's grabbing a duck by the neck. And on the reverse of that post is a Tudor rose. Now, experts have had a look at these posts and using the carvings as like the styles of that as a rough indication of the date, they reckon that these were made in 1475. So we are very fortunate in that we do have some images of the building and of these timbers as they would have been on the street. So in the Victorian period, F.S. Smith, a local artist, he decided to draw these buildings and he actually drew them from several angles. So we can see how the Yarmouth Arms was on one side of the timbers, and then that building, that timber frame building, went up and over, and on the other side was the George Yard Inn. Later on, we also had a photograph. There were photographs taken of the building too, which gives us an even clearer indication of what they looked like. So you can see how the building is jettied, so that means that it comes up from the street and then juts out a little bit, and it does this up, out, up and then out again. And the other thing that we are lucky to have is that we even see the timbers the kind of downfall of their life on the street. And because unfortunately in World War II, the buildings that were attached to these timbers were destroyed and then they were demolished in 1945, and someone had the forethought to take a photograph even when they were in that state. But we were lucky, the timbers were rescued and they are now on display in Hull and East Riding Museum. So I hope you've enjoyed this little talk for you today, and do check out some of the other things we have going on at Hull Museums.